You?
Yeah. All right. It says we're live. So I just want to say quick hello to anyone who is watching live. This is the Founder's Mind podcast. This is our second live episode. I have Vanya here. I'm very excited to get into conversation with Vanya. But really quickly, before we start, a lot of what the Founder's Mind is up to these days would not be possible without our sponsor, Upside Business Travel. The name should suggest it all. They help small businesses scale their travel needs, and in a time of global pandemic where no one's traveling, they have redirected their energy in providing support and information and strategies for businesses on how to navigate this. We'll keep it PG CF. So, welcome to the Founder's Mind Live, Vanya. It's great to have you.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you to everyone watching and listening. You've
Yeah.
got people tuning in all the way from Serbia,
Oh,
former Yugoslavia,
wow.
listening and watching today.
That's great. We've
Yeah,
we've gone global.
you've gone international.
That's amazing. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to start live conversations is because I just want to keep exploring and experimenting with the different ways we can engage with people, right? And the different ways we can engage, not really an audience, because it's less about audience for me and more about just individuals and people out there. And so I always like to kick off interviews and episodes. I could go into who you are and what you do, but I would not do as good a job as you. So I would love to hear, and I'm sure listeners and whoever's live with us would love to hear a little bit about who you are, what you're up to, and we'll go from there.
There's a quite a backstory to all of that.
So it's
That's
a
how
loaded
all good
question.
stories start. So I will keep it to Bancom. So what I do. So we are a fully integrated digital agency. So we offer services in website design, website development,
Hmm.
custom app design development, content strategy, digital marketing, e-commerce solutions, and branding.
Wow.
So um, we we exist because of our clients.
Mm.
Our DNA has always been to provide senior expertise
Hmm.
and senior counsel without the big agency layers and the big agency cost.
Yeah.
We're agile. We make it easy for our clients to work with us, and we're big on transparency. I do like to minimize surprises.
Hmm.
We still have some, but I like to minimize them.
Inevitable.
Uh, Inevitable. I strongly believe in chemistry and building relationships with our clients. In order for us to engage with the client, there has to be a fit. And I determine that fit based on personal chemistry and then also on what it is that we're trying to do for our client.
Mm.
So I have to care um, in what it is that they need our help with. Um, what's interesting about us at Bancom is that we have actually all known each other for years prior before starting the agency. And I think it's because of this that we can shapeshift and adapt because we know each other and we know each other well.
Yeah.
I know my team is quick, inquisitive, always open to learning. And this is one major thing that I look for in people, I think, is the ability to learn and to always realize how much you don't know.
Yeah.
Because anybody to me who thinks that they know it all, I just think it keeps us humble, you know? Um, so that's us in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. And you're doing a lot. I mean, I like sort of that last comment. Not everyone can know everything, and finding people that
No,
understands that we don't know everything. And Steve Jobs famously talked about not hiring smart people to tell them what to do, but hiring smart people so they can tell him what
no,
to do.
absolutely. You surround yourself, and it's funny that you say that because that was my strategy from day one in terms of operations with Bancom. When it comes to my team, I had decided early on that I would surround myself with seasoned professionals.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming in fresh, young, eager, and I knew that with senior expertise
Yeah.
came time in the industry and longevity and a network. And I wanted to jump into that talent pool from day one. So if I did have any kind of a strategy, which, I always struggle with that because I kind of just did things. So when people ask me, well, how, like, what was your strategy? What was the thought? And I was like, I don't know that I thought about it much. I just did things.
I
So,
mean, that's what's happening right now. I didn't think about this
yeah,
very much. I just started asking people on the internet and, bought some application that lets me stream live, and I had some of the equipment already.
look at us go.
Here we are. And in like 10 episodes, I might be able to have a nugget of wisdom about what I should have done. But it's
So,
learn by doing.
like I said, we shapeshift, right?
Yeah. So, what I think there's some interesting things in my mind. What's the structure of your team? I mean, are we're in a time right now where companies have had to shift a lot. So I don't know if you were
Mhm.
already in the right sort of setup or if you had to make any systemic changes. But are you in Chicago? Where are you based? Toronto.
Toronto NBA champion.
Okay, that's good. I like Toronto. One time I was there and I was at a sushi restaurant and the entire Raptors team walked by.
Get
Yeah,
out.
and I think I went up to like Chris Bosh's like kneecap when I was sitting down.
You guys are gonna have to excuse me. I was saying to Adam earlier, we have a major deliverable that was given to us by end of day today. So the team is on it. But if you see me just,
Yeah.
drifting off and trying to deal with it, that's what's happening. You're inside the founder's mind for this one.
So you're based in Toronto,
Yes.
and where's the rest of your team? Are you distributed? Is everyone in Canada?
Okay, so with us, yeah. So, sorry, I think the earlier question was going towards maybe like a business model of
Mm-hmm.
how we're set up. So we're based out of Toronto. All of my team, all of my guys are here as well. The way how this started was, so let's go back to that backstory. My family emigrated to Canada in 1994. I am from the former Yugoslavia.
Uh-huh.
And as the firstborn child, I always felt an enormous pressure,
Mm.
which was completely my own doing, to succeed and to justify my parents' decision
Mm-hmm.
for coming to Canada and making the ultimate sacrifice for myself and my sister, who I adore. Hi, Joey. So, so for me, at a very early age, I decided that education would be the way for me to do that. It would be a way to make my parents proud and a
Mm-hmm.
way for to create opportunities for myself. So I graduated from Queen's University here in Canada in Kingston, Ontario. And after Queen's, I went to London School of Economics in the UK to do my master's in communications. A few years after my graduation, I held a couple of senior roles as marketing comms manager, director, and then in 2014, I finally gained the courage to go out on my own and start my own agency with incredible support and love from my husband, who I'm obsessed with. Another podcast. Um, Now, how we came to be was I had I had this thought of an office being an unnecessary overhead. Now,
Sure.
I'd like to take credit and say because I was a business visionary, but that had nothing to do with it. It was budget or
Yeah,
lack thereof.
which is
So,
a fiscal visionary maybe.
yeah. So, I mean, especially now post COVID, when there's a big argument
Mm-hmm.
out there, are offices necessary, or is this a thing of the past? But for me, like I said, it was a decision a decision made purely on budget,
Mm.
or not having one. So I decided that because I had no money to actually rent an office space, that I would have a mobile or a virtual business model. And my
Okay.
story would be something like, we're mobile. we will come to you, we will meet wherever you'd like, because we just go the extra mile for our clients. And it worked. So it turns out I may have been onto something back then, 2014. Like,
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And today we
Was
continue
WeWork
to
even around
remain.
then?
I don't know.
Maybe very
I'm
early
not sure.
stages.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a lot. Not a lot was around back then.
Yeah.
So today we continue to be fully mobile, and although the team has grown and so has the budget, I think I'm sticking. Obviously, I'm sticking to kind of to
Yeah.
how it all started.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do think that this global pandemic has been the biggest experiment in digitizing the workspace. Like, this has been, and I think it's been polarizing. Businesses are in, or they're in the way. Could be because now we are in the age of digitally reinvented business models.
100%. It's accelerating. Someone said, I thought this was interesting, and maybe more than one person, but what I started seeing on Twitter, let's say like maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe max a month ago, is that people believe that this is accelerating certain technological changes by a decade, or certain social or professional norms by a decade. And so
A hundred
where
percent.
companies were like, yeah, we're developing a remote work strategy or remote work policy, and it's just taking, years to do. It,
Yeah.
it was a switch flipped. And like, even, and this is kind of this is the carnage of it, professionally speaking, like, this whole switch to e-commerce, direct to consumer, big box stores. I mean, in the U.S. alone, you have, like, I think J.C. Penney, Neiman Marcus, J. Crew. I mean, like, all the big ones are starting to file for bankruptcy, because it's just they're getting decimated.
You know what? This has been. I have friends. I have dear friends, family who have been hit hard, and I think digital was marked as the safe spot, and
Yeah.
I'm just lucky that I happen to be in this industry. Um, yeah, no, it hasn't been easy. Digital is having a moment in the spotlight. I don't think it's going anywhere. I agree with you 100%. If anything, it's just going to keep accelerating. People are online, they're not going offline. So I really do think that for businesses, and again, I take it back to our clients who are at the core of
Mm-hmm.
everything we do, they have been amazing. I choose my words carefully because not all have, but most of them have been great in you just had to be quick. This was quick. You had to act quick. You had to think quick. You had to change quick.
Mm.
Webinars, um, search engine marketing. You had to invest. I always say to my clients, my friends, whoever I'm speaking with, that the digital world was always very abstract. And I think, especially for businesses, when you say, hey, why don't you put $10,000 towards this thing that's out there called SEO, and you might see some results. And they're like, $10,000 for a maybe? And you're like, I get it. I get it. But now I think there's much more awareness, consciousness. And that's why for us at Bancom, education is major. It is so key. Relationships and education for me, and it's, I'd mentioned this to you before, we grew this consulting arm,
Mm-hmm.
which is post-COVID, in our case a digital consulting arm,
Mm-hmm.
simply because education became a key component
Yeah.
of what it is that we are now doing with our clients. We had to bring them up to speed. We had to tell them what this post-COVID landscape looks like, how they can keep up with it, stay relevant, and not, to your point, like, not bankruptcy or just fall off.
Yeah. So what?
So it's been yeah, go ahead.
I'm curious. There were certain elements of your business that were already set up to not necessarily get knocked completely off your feet with the global pandemic, right? Your team was already remote. You're already in the digital space.
Mm-hmm.
What are some shifts, whether it was internal or external, for your team or external for your clients? What are some shifts that you all have leaned into? And you've mentioned this educational piece.
That's it.
over the last couple weeks or months, excuse me.
I have to say that for us, I go back to our DNA being digital. We we are digital. We are fluent in digital. We have been from day one. So we didn't skip a beat. I think post COVID, when the initial wave happened and our clients had the world is ending moment,
Mm.
we came in, rolled up our sleeves, and our approach and our advice to them was simple. We have to revisit digital.
Mm-hmm.
What that means, what that looks like is A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. So for us at Bancom, the biggest shift, if we can, just pin it to COVID, was the organic growth or birth of our new business arm, which was purely digital consulting.
Mm.
So before we were more service oriented. So like I said, website development, content creation, more project specific, but now we've entered more of a realm where should we engage with a client, there's really no end in sight if all goes well.
Right.
So
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed.
So the Bandcom started in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So you're either you've already crossed or you're going to cross your 6th year mark
Mm-hmm.
in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
right, which is huge. Congratulations.
Can't believe that. What?
But
I've been so busy. I've had 2 kids. Oh my God, this has
there you
been,
go. A
it's been a
lot has
lot.
changed. What what are some of the things that you know now? You can pick one, maybe a couple come to mind, that you wish you had known in the beginning.
Awesome question. Know your strengths and know your weaknesses, because it's okay to have both. Where you are weak, back to the Steve Jobs quote, surround yourself with people who can teach you,
Mm.
who bring out the best in you.
Mhm.
You don't have to have all the answers. It's okay to make mistakes. And I don't mean to be, I don't mean it to be some stereotypical answer, but truly, when I started this, I expected a lot out of myself,
Mm.
and I wanted it to be perfect. And if I was going to do this and have the support of my incredible parents, my husband, my family, my friends, I felt like I had something to prove to them, to myself. But man, doing your own gig, running your own business is hard. And for us, I have this thing where, we often say, I make it easy for our clients to work with us. To make something easy is not easy to do. And I think that's where people really get confused, because to make it smooth, seamless, to be accessible, to always be there, to the time, the patience, the commitment. I mean, you can apply that to business or a relationship or your child or whatever you want to apply to. When you care about, we care at the end of the day. I care. So if for anybody who has ever cared about something or someone, that is probably the furthest thing from easy, but you make it look that way because it's, it's genuine. So, for us, the interesting story is how I got my first client.
Let's go there.
No, let's go there. So, you get your logo and your website, and for us in Canada, your HST number. So you're like, I got a business. Let's go. Doors are open. No one's there, and it's fine. So you realize that nothing's going to come to you. Mm-hmm. Nothing is ever going to come to you. You've got to work for it. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's one advice that I would share, is that I don't know why, maybe I did feel for a second there that because I had this master's degree and I had all these roles that I had like senior roles, that maybe people would just be like, oh, you with all the wisdom and experience. But that didn't happen. So that was a great lesson, that you really, really have to hustle. You have to work. You have to get yourself out there.
Yeah, no one's, it's like when you used to work at a company, no one's giving you work unless they've sold it already, and you don't have to worry about selling it because you work for someone else. But when you're a founder or you run your own business, you have to sell the deals. You got to close the deals.
All of it. So, what I did was, I remember 2014, I've got a business, I'm ready to go. So I'm like, I'm just gonna get so many clients and it's gonna be great. So I actually started cold messaging people on Facebook.
Facebook.
And now you know that I'm 100 years old. So, yeah, Facebook. And I would look at businesses and companies and go on their website and be like, they could use some help, or maybe, or I see that there's a startup that's coming, that's an incubator, whatever it is. I'm like, I'm going to reach out to them and introduce myself and tell them what I do. I have an incredible business partner, Rick McLaughlin, who's my creative director, who has been the biggest source of inspiration for me.
Mm-hmm.
We have a joke. He's a lot of it older than I am, but so he's taught me so much, and he's just taken me under his wing, which I'm forever grateful for. So I cold messaged people, and I would have so many read messages, but no responses. So I would, it's a punch in the gut every time. And then I'd be like, Rick, nobody wants to work with me. And he was just so amazing with me. And one day I got a response. And that's it. That one day, that one response. And it was a lifestyle brand, Ali and Tracy, who I will never forget, my first clients, who took a chance on me, on us. And we did some amazing work, if I can say so myself. And from there on in, it was organic. It was so organic. People started talking. There's incredible shifts happening in the digital world, and my God, I'm in it. I'm living it. But there's something to be said about good old word of mouth.
Referrals.
Still works. Yeah, well, referrals. So that's how all of our clients are.
Logo, brand, website. You had everything up and running. Do you have
HSD number?
HSD number, yeah. I think we'd say like LLC in the United States.
Yeah.
But do you have a sort of a concept of the time from feeling like you were open for business to when you had your first client? Was it days? Was it weeks? Was it months? Months. Okay.
Months. This also lends itself into a bit of a personal story. And I think that who we are as founders, as business people, it is also who we are on a very personal level. Mm-hmm. So my husband and I, we had some fertility struggles. My God, actually, that's a whole other story. My mom was having, I love my mom. She was having her second, she has had multiple open heart surgeries. My husband was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I mean, things are coming at me hot.
Yeah, that's wild. Hot. That's a lot.
And so for me, Bancom was the only thing that I could control when it seemed like everything else was out of my hands.
Yeah.
So during that time, the concept of time was a little bit out the window, because all of these things were just, I couldn't tell you what day it was, let alone, month or year.
Yeah.
But I mean, to answer your question, it was months. So in October 2014, when Bancom, when we went live, I would say it was probably early 2015 that I landed my first client.
I mean, I think that, like you just shared, I mean, you were processing a lot personally on at least three
fronts,
and starting a business, it's a lot to take on. And I think everyone's experiencing their own journey, right? Mm-hmm. And there's like, people say, like, there's no perfect time to start a business, right? And you,
or have a
or
child or
yeah,
buy a house
yeah,
or like just no,
yeah.
nothing.
And I'm in the process of closing on a house right now, and it's been like the most insane
Congratulations.
roller coaster of an experience. And I would suggest if you're listening or watch this and you're thinking about starting your own business, buy a house before you start your business, because the level of
Oh,
financial scrutiny, if you don't have a W-2, which is the one of the documents we have for tax in the U.S., uh, it is hard. But this like this idea of Bancom being the thing that you can control when you're
mhm.
having this like deeply personal struggle, like you mentioned, like with infertility, which I can only imagine was a very intense personal experience. Your husband, your mom, like all these things going on. It is kind of amazing, I think, when you look at business, and I don't know if people see it this way or think about it. We do have a lot of control over what's happening, even if it requires that we're patient or that we're resilient. When you start a
Mhm.
business, like you control your output, you control your outcome. And one of my favorite words is manifest, right? We, as business owners, we manifest things into reality.
I
Um,
love it.
and I can, again, I can only imagine how all the personal challenges were contextualizing for you what challenges really are. Like not getting a client right away may not have been the biggest challenge.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. You know what? I have my mother going through open heart surgery, my husband with his own health issues. Of course, fertility, like I said, we have two incredible children, so the outcome was
Yeah,
positive, and I'm forever grateful. Um, but you kind of put things in perspective, you know?
yeah,
And you're a little bit like, sure, I sent 10 emails and got one response. Like, hey, it's better than zero responses. And it does teach you
yeah,
resilience. It does teach you patience. It teaches, and it's commitment. It's commitment because I think commitment in any sense of the word, friendship, relationship, business, you're going to have the highs are high and the lows are low. And unless you're committed, then just don't bother.
yeah. They're extreme sometimes in
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship. I mean, in life too, they can be
100%.
extreme, but like there's a million memes out there, but there's this like, it's not a straight like angled curve. It's like this like, yeah, exactly, like
It's,
this like earthquake
yeah,
like whatever that tracker is, where it's just like the needle goes up and down and
yeah.
up and down.
You brought up your word, and it got me thinking about my word,
Yeah.
which was I remember reading or hearing it from somewhere. I don't even know, but it had such a powerful impact on me, and it was the word just.
Hmm.
Um, Now, I can only speak as a woman and relate to other women, and the one advice that I'm happy to share with men and women alike, but this has completely changed my approach to everything I do as a woman, is eliminating the word just. It is so useless and weak, and it undermines everything that you are doing, that you have done, or that you're trying to do. And I often say, I'm like, take for example, hi, I'm just following up on an email I sent versus hi, I'm following up on an email I sent. Boom. Why do you need that word? Um, I think it serves no purpose other than to undermine your efforts. I think that everybody should get rid of it. This has changed my business trajectory, and honestly, I can say my overall attitude.
So when did you become hyper aware of the word?
So started Bandcamp 2014, probably 2015.
Okay. So not very deep into the Bandcom journey.
No, no, but I remember, like I said, it was actually on a TV show. It was a psychologist who was talking about it, and it just hit me hard because I did find myself using it a lot. And it was more of just, I thought it was a space filler. I even thought maybe it was a bit softer, or maybe it's more polite. It's none of those things.
It's amazing the words that we use without thinking about the word.
100%.
And when you start to listen to how people speak and the language that they use, you
Hmm.
a lot of it's unconscious. What words we use, we learn them, we
Hmm.
inherit them, we see them modeled by other people, we mimic it. You have two kids, so you probably are keenly aware of this. I have a 18-month-old, and I think about the language that Erica, my wife, and we use all the time. Like if I say like, "Oh man, I suck at this thing," I'm like, he's gonna start once he starts talking, he's gonna start
Careful.
saying that, and like, how are we
My
framing?
son, my son, every other word, it's like, that's a bad word every time. And we're like, oh man, that was shit.
Yeah,
And he's like, that's a bad word. And I'm like, you're right. And then you just keep catching yourself
e-
because he's saying it every 5 minutes. You're like, okay, a lot of bad
exactly.
words.
But I think coming into like the specifics of words that we use, like this word just, it is amazing how much one word changes the context or tone of a sentence.
It did for me. And maybe this is that woman thing. Maybe I'm not going to go there because that's a whole other thing. But for me as a woman, oh man, did it ever.
Mm.
Because like I said, I didn't want to come across as harsh or rude or bitchy, or I was like, hi, I'm just following up.
Yeah.
But then I kind of had this moment, and it's true. I looked at some of my other colleagues who were not women, like they don't use that word
No.
like at all. So it was just such an interesting idea for me that
Yeah. Oh,
just
it happens. It's like once you stop, like if you think about saying the
that
word like,
resonated
yeah,
with
yeah,
me. That resonated with me. So that's one thing. And I have an amazing friend, Mary, who is an extremely successful woman in leadership. And she has also taught me that no matter how many wonderful things you say to someone, how many positive things you say, if you use the word but, human condition is that we will quickly forget all the good things you just said and only focus on what comes right after the but.
yeah. No, there's so much research and science around this now that
Hmm.
it's amazing that it's not as sort of pervasive, some of these concepts that you're talking about, that we aren't weaving them into more of our world and more of our life. And I think as a coach, one of the things that comes up with clients and one of the things that comes up in conversations all the time is this concept of intentionality. Being intentional about how you show up, the words that you use, how you respond. And when you start, if you start to practice intention, you discover this word just, and you start asking yourself questions. Why am I using it? Why am I saying it? What's the impact of that word?
Right.
And it takes me back to an earlier part of this conversation around simplicity and keeping things clean and simple. And that's actually really hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to be messy.
Yes.
I could flip my table. It would be a little
I know.
insane, but I could do it, and it
Mhm.
would be messy. But like editing, like I got all sorts of stuff on my desk here. Like my desk is a mess right now. You can't see it because of the screen, but like it's hard to refine and to clean up and to sort of organize not just space but your mind, and then not just your mind but your
100%.
language. You know?
100%.
Yeah.
I've been lucky to meet some incredible people. I have to say, I think um, when you were talking to Maggie,
Mm.
episode one, she was great. I thought that this metric of success, I always find it so interesting because who decides if you're successful, if you're not successful? For me, my metric of my success are relationships
Mm.
and people. Always have been. Always have been. I mean, I'm somebody who started Bandcom my background is communications. I'm not I'm not a developer. I'm not a visual designer. I'm not any of those things. What I am is I'm in comms. I'm with people. I care about people. I want to get to know people. I've been lucky enough to come across some incredible people. I have to give a major shout out to someone who's completely changed Bandcom in the past couple of months, actually. I don't know if I can say his full name, so I'll just say SC. Uh, you know who you are, and his amazing wife, Adriana. Um, they have, I've been lucky. So I would say that for me, it always comes back to people, to relationships. That's it.
Now I know why, speaking of relationships, Julia has been like in my ear,
Oh, love
being
her.
like, "You're gonna
Love
love the
Jules.
conversation. Like it's gonna be so great. I can't wait to see you all talk." It's because
Oh, Jules and I, we go way back. We are back from Queen's University. We grew up together.
amazing. But
Yeah.
specifically, as you're talking about relationships, and this is something I say a lot, which is relationships precede results. And I've learned that from people in my life. This isn't something that I own, and you're articulating it now in your own words, but this idea that relationships precede results. And when you focus on people, like you said, and I'm just sort of spinning it back, your words, but through my brain here, you generate unbelievable results.
Sorry, guys. Just I'm
No
listening.
worries.
Yeah, yeah. Inside the mind.
Yeah, yeah. And I could take this for a second, but like there's this my sales cycle, for example, is occasionally very quick. A month, couple weeks, maybe a couple months, but some of my most sort of profound work and biggest relationships have professional relationships have come after like 15 to 18 months of let's grab a coffee, let's have a phone call. I text to do a little check-in, if I haven't spoken in 3 months. We send some emails, we see each other at an event, and a year in or a year and a half into nurturing a relationship, they're like,
Oh,
we
yeah.
should do some work together. And I'm like, that sounds great.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's funny. I'm coming at you as a founder of a digital agency that almost eliminates that human contact, right? That's what I do. And I think you pivot and you do what you have to do. But like I said earlier, there's nothing like a good word of mouth. I mean, that's how I started. That's how we were built. And there's nothing like a solid handshake, because I do think that people, relationships, communication, if somebody's willing to give you a chance, if somebody recognizes drive, ambition, hunger. I mean, again, I'll go back to SC, who, he describes us as scrappy. We're a scrappy, hungry agency, and we are. But he would only know that by interacting with me and getting to know me and speaking with me and learning things about me to realize that I have this attitude that, again, rewind, whether it's fertility, health, it's resilience. It's just, you learn it, you build it, you're challenged by it in many aspects of life.
Yeah.
So it's either you've got it or you don't. And I think when he kind of said, he's like, you're scrappy, I was like, damn right I am. I am scrappy. That's how you get places.
Yeah.
By being scrappy. Nothing's going to come to you.
Yeah.
And we actually had a major pitch that was, we were going head to head with, I was about to say,
With another
with a
company.
very big agency out of New York. And they had the giant team and the giant resources, and they had it all. But we went in and I was like, so what? They got me, I got my team, like, they got us, you guys.
Yeah.
And we're good. So you gotta be a little scrapper and get
And you
in
gotta
there.
take a swing.
We got it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think
Awesome. But thanks.
I think
You do. You got to. A friend said, my friend Ron said, throw 10 things against a glass, window, whatever, one will stick. Keep throwing.
I think that's a big part of it. And in addition, and this was something that I learned when I was working at Apple, and it's such a simple concept, and it blew my mind. Basically, there are a lot of initiatives and things that we needed to sell or things that we needed to offer, and I had a manager at the time tell me, and I couldn't remember who it was, unfortunately, but they said every time you don't offer a customer one of our services, you've decided for them that they don't want it because they may not know about it. And I was like, it was the biggest rephrase
Yeah,
for me. I'm
wow.
like, whoa, like you're right. I think that I'm saving them time. I think that it's too much to talk about all these things, and it's like it feels like I'm just trying to sell them everything. But they were just like, just make sure that they know that they can get it because maybe they're someone who wants.
Goes back to education.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so like I think what you're saying, a big part of this, like going up against a huge agency or whatever your big competitor is, or focusing on the
Did you
relation.
just say huge agency?
You said going up against a huge agency.
Yeah, that's funny because I'll text you later.
Okay, but you said
Continue.
big agency or a huge agency. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
know. But I think the big thing there is like you don't want to decide for a potential client that you're not going to be their pick by not showing up. You got to show up and you got
100%.
to do your pitch and you got to put yourself out there and they decide.
100%. Because who are you to decide for them?
And like even on a personal side, the house that we're closing on, there were three offers. I can guarantee you, we did not make the financially strongest offer. Not we didn't offer them the most money. We wrote a letter about who we were, and why we wanted the home, and what was important to us, and we got it. They accepted us, and when they accepted us, they told us that the letter had a huge part to do with why they were moving forward with us and not the
Get
other two
out.
offers. I swear to God.
I love that.
Yeah, this it was the house. The house.
And was it just we want to live here, we want to raise our family, we want
The houses had the same
just
owner
was
for.
it just
It was
humanity?
humanity. The houses had the same owner for
Yeah.
50 years, and the essence of the letter was like if I could live in a house that was a home to a family for 50 years, for my 50 years, like that would be the most special thing in the world. And there was more, but it was like that story, and it's
I
true.
love
It
it.
was 100% true, and I think had we said, oh, there are other offers, we probably aren't going to be competitive, like we should just not bother, we wouldn't be where we are right now. So I think you just got
I
to take
mean,
that
that's a
swing.
great point because I think it goes to show that scrappy doesn't mean I think it has a negative stereotype.
Sure.
Like that was you being scrappy, but that was you being creative. That was you wanting to you were going after something and
Yeah.
you got it. So you were scrappy. So I think scrappy needs to get a new rep.
Yeah, it's a blend of we've used a lot of words here. We've talked about resilience. We've talked about scrappiness, patience. And
Scrappy.
I think that like there, it's a blend of things, right?
It has to be.
And one of the
It has to be.
from the different people that have supported you or advised you or advice that you've heard and taken, one of the things that comes to my mind for entrepreneurs and founders is this idea of what skills do you have in your life and how do they transfer to entrepreneurship. So you've been tested personally in so many ways, and I'm sure more ways than what you've shared, but taking those skills and those lessons and transferring them to your business and saying, all right, I got resilience because I've had to be
Mhm.
resilient in unbelievable ways, and you have that scrappy sort of approach and you can use it for business. And I think, especially if you're a first time founder, so in 2014, you might have been first time founder ish, unless there's other businesses we haven't talked about. But
No, yeah,
you,
I was.
you've been able to bring all of this personal
Oh, but I have to
experience.
say, yeah, I saw that from my dad
Yeah.
when we came to Canada. So we're immigrants. We came from war.
Mm.
So, childhood interrupted. We come here and to watch both of my parents, but to watch my dad survive, like if that's not an example, I don't know what is. So,
Well, and not just that, but that you paid attention and that you internalized it and that you carried that. forward, and
Yeah.
not everyone does that.
Yeah,
So I
I
think
agree.
there is a little. I mean, like, there's an element of that stuck with you. You know.
That has forever imprinted me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the data in front of me, but there's a reason why children of immigrants or people or immigrants themselves, but who moved here as children and seeing their parents and knowing where they came from, you have a very high representation of children of immigrants in the Fortune 500 CEO list or the founder list,
It's
of,
good for them.
and I think that it is because their life experiences showed them a lot, and their family stories, the oral history or lived history of their family has really painted a picture of what hard work is, what real challenges are, or struggle is.
Yeah. I Yes. Yeah.
So we're gonna take a couple more minutes, and I wanna chat a little bit more. For those that are watching, Vanya, would you be down if anyone shot us a question or two? We could,
Go for it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
happy to.
throw a question in the comments if you feel motivated or if you're curious, and you and I will keep talking, and maybe something will pop up. But we've got a couple more minutes, and I'd love to know sort of where do you see things for you and for the business moving over the next, I want to say 6 to 12 months. Like, I'm curious what businesses are
Oh,
looking at,
six to
sort of
12.
like, I know that's a long time frame with COVID and everything, but like
Yeah, well,
December
it's funny, right? Yeah.
2020, what are you looking at?
I mean, good question. Uh, I'm looking at probably much of the same,
Mm-hmm.
but I say that in the best way possible. I'd like to help clients and people survive,
Mm-hmm.
transition. I can only see us. One thing that's really amazing about Bancom and our clients is that maybe two or three were just project based, and everybody else has stayed on
Mm.
from day one. So even after the initial project was done, say the website was built or the app was built, we still continued working together because digital truly is, an infinite. You can do an infinite amount of things in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I want to help my clients navigate through this aggressive digital shift that just happened, and just make sure that they're meeting their goals and objectives,
Mm.
because like I said, we as cliche as it sounds, I really do care. I care for them. So because I mean, it's my name, it's my company, it's my reputation. I want to see them succeed. I care to see them succeed. So I want to keep doing more of that. I want to help them navigate, because there's a lot of people who are concerned, who are scared, who are in over their head, who have no clue what this digital world is all about. So I need to make sense of it for them. And we've always we pride ourselves on saying we will give you as much guidance as you'd like, as much hand holding as you'd like, or as little. But we're here for you. You decide.
That's great, and I think that I get so challenged when you have to say, as cliche as it sounds, I really care, because it's like
I know.
we hope that that's at the root. We hope that
Well,
that's
you
where
hope.
people are.
I also have worked and met
Yeah,
people who I think don't and are
yeah, for
motivated by
sure,
other things,
hundred
which
percent.
good for them, whatever. But I think caring's good.
I think it's great. I think I think it's one of the sort of core tenets of being human is care. In coaching, we say sort of what care are you responding to, and an internal care. You know, so I
I
love
think it
that.
also makes a major difference to love what you do. And I know that's so hard. And I say it with a bit of hesitation because, man, I've had jobs that I didn't love,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked for people that I didn't like,
Mm-hmm.
doing things I didn't want to do, all in marketing comms, all in that space. But, for example, like no offense to furnaces, but sometimes it's hard to make a furnace be sexy in comms, right? So you're like,
Like a heating
oh,
furnace?
yeah, yes. So I've had companies where I work for, and I'm like, oh, like I just don't know that I'm really into this right now. But you do it,
Yeah.
and you do the best job you can, and you learn from it, and you evolve from it. So I've had those positions that I've held that I didn't necessarily love, but again, you take the best things away from them and walk away with that. I've worked, I've had some, horrible bosses like the movie,
Mm.
but at the end of the day, now that I'm able to kind of really focus, and like I said, it goes back to my husband and his support. I was able to start my own thing. And now that I have it and that I'm doing it and that I love it, oh, what a difference it makes
Huge.
to love what you do.
I wish loving your work on everyone. Like I
So,
want that for everyone, and so when I get to talk to people, and that's a big part of this show and the work that I do, that have found that or on the journey of finding it, it gets me very hyped. And so I'm not surprised because you've been doing this for more than a couple years now, that you're there and that you get to keep leading into it. I
mhm.
want to hop to a comment. Our mutual friend, the reason why we're talking, Julia, asked a
Mhm.
question. She said, "Let's chat
I knew
about
she would.
Bandcomp's rebranded new website." So we don't have a ton of time left,
Oh,
but
cool.
like
Thanks, Jules.
let's talk about that for a split second. What is
Quickly,
she
quickly,
talking about?
quickly.
She knows you, so what does that mean?
Yeah. So actually, in post COVID, I think I just also took some time to revisit my own digital because we're so busy making everybody else's digital fabulous that your own kind of needs fall by the wayside. So we grew, and from where we were at 2014 to where we are today, oh my God, did we grow. We grew in terms of teams, services offered, our clients, our portfolio. It's been great.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so good. I'm not complaining about that one bit. But our new, I had to rebrand because our personal website logo and everything, I felt like we had outgrown ourselves in 2014. So we just actually we went live. Oh my God, yesterday we went live
Boom.
with our brand new website, brand new everything, a whole new rebrand, including the post-COVID digital consulting arm
Wow. I
of the
looked at the
business.
website. It looks good.
Thanks. Oh my
Yeah, it
God,
looks
thank you
like
very much. Yeah,
very very approachable and sort of easy to navigate.
thank you. I
Yeah.
wanted something that was, you know, a reflection of not who I am, but
Yeah.
who we are as a team. And I think we are. I think we are, there's a level of sophistication
Mm-hmm.
that comes with our work, but we're also we're playful, and we can, yeah, no, I could go on all day about my team.
Well, I have like
Don't
a
get me started.
maybe that's another conversation we'll have. We have another question, and I think we have enough time. But from
Okay.
Giovanna, how do you find balance with family and work? Is there one?
No.
No.
So whoever finds it, shoot me an email, let me know. No, I have a 22-month-old and a 4-year-old, and we're in COVID lockdown. My business, again, I've never been busier because of the digital shift, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So I am now the challenge of a rapidly growing business with my 22-month-old at me, my son, mom, 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 all the time. So no, there's no balance. I mean, not for me. So like I said, if anybody has figured it out, I'm all ears.
Amazing. I'll just leave one quick anecdote. When I was working at Apple, an executive came into a store and kind of wandered through, and got to the back of the store. And I introduced myself. I had no idea who he was, and he identified himself as Jerry McDougall, and we started chatting. And we, for some reason, 19-year-old Adam, 20-year-old Adam, was interested in talking about work-life balance with Jerry McDougall, like executive at Apple with children. And he said, and I kind of appreciate this, and that this we can talk more about
Tell
this,
me,
or we
what
can
did he
just read it.
say?
But he said there is no balance. He identified. He said there's work-life focus. So when you're working, create a space where you,
You're focused on working
and when
when
you're with
you're
your family,
parent.
focus on a way to be focused on your family. Because if you're trying to
That's it.
balance, you always feel like you're losing something or it's not
Yeah.
even.
Yes. Yes.
And
It
so,
is. It's focus. My husband and I say that often while they're napping. It's work time, so let's focus on work. When they're up and we're at the park, it's park time or it's kid time. And you take time, you find time where you can, and you do the best you can with
yeah,
it. But you should definitely yeah, I want to say thanks for the compliment for the new website. I'm
yeah,
really
yeah,
glad that
yeah.
you like it.
No, of course. And then we've got one more question, and then we'll wrap up. But Mary said
People.
one word that would describe you as a leader. Take a second if you have to think about it.
Empathetic.
Empathetic. That's a very good word. As long as you didn't say I'm just empathetic.
Never. I would never say just.
Vanya, this has been an amazing conversation. Again, quick another shout out to Julia. Thank you for the intro,
Thank
making
you,
this
Jules.
connection
Girl,
happen.
you know I love you.
And what's the best way for anyone that's watching, for people that may watch the stream later? What's the best way for people to find you, follow you, learn about your work?
We are on LinkedIn, Bancom. Website is www.bancom, so BANNCOMM.com. We are on Facebook, where it all started. We are on Instagram. We're on Medium. We're everywhere. Just look
Great.
us up.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you for being on the show, and thank you for everyone that watched. You can always find The Founder's Mind, thefoundersmind.com, or at The Founder's Mind everywhere. And I appreciate the questions, participation, and energy.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed our time together.
Excellent. And I hope that everyone stays healthy and safe and sane during
Yes.
these
Be
times.
safe, everyone. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening.
Take care.
Bye.